In this video, I will teach you what the Codex app is and how to use it. You will learn what the Codex app is, where it comes from, and why it could be useful for you. How to set it up for the first time, from downloading and installing it to the sandbox and approval settings that keep you safe, and persistent instructions called skills, plugins, and automations. These terminologies will make sense by the end of this video. Different use cases and prompts you can adapt to get started, and how to control the app from your phone. Let's get started. If you are watching this video, I take it you have at least heard of Codex and are curious. The Codex app is a tool that lets you use an AI agent on your own computer in a user-friendly way. If you have heard of AI agents doing things for you on your computer automatically and autonomously, this is sort of it, with certain caveats. You can have it analyze files, produce documents and presentations, build small tools, and run tasks on a schedule in the background. I also have a similar video done on Anthropic's version of the Codex app, Claude Cowork, which you can watch after this video. Now some background, because the name confuses people. Codex started in 2025 as a tool for programmers, run from something called a terminal, the text-based way of talking to your computer. For programmers, it was useful, but for many people it was completely inaccessible. The app changes that. OpenAI released it as a user-friendly option and gateway onto the same engine or model. You type what you want in plain language, and you can see what is happening. No terminal needed, and no programming commands to memorize. And this is the important part. OpenAI is deliberately pushing it beyond code. With skills, which we will go through, Codex stretches into gathering and summarizing information, problem solving, writing, and producing documents. The professional programmers mostly still use a terminal version. The app is for everyone else, for office workers who want to automate the process, but who do not necessarily wish to become developers. So who makes what here? Codex comes in several forms that all share one account and one set of settings. The terminal version, and an add-on for code editors, which are for programmers, and which I want to dig deeper into in this video. A cloud version that runs tasks on OpenAI's computers instead of yours. And a desktop app, the visual one we are using today. If you are familiar with Anthropic's tools from my other videos, the comparison is straightforward. The Codex app is OpenAI's answer to Claude Cowork, an agent app for people who want a visual tool rather than a code-based one. I have, as I mentioned before, a full video on Cowork if you want to compare them. One thing to note if you are coming from that video, the layout is different. Cowork lives inside the Claude desktop app, where you switch between chat, Cowork, and code using tabs. The Codex app has no tabs. Everything lives in the sidebar on the left. Chats happen in the main window, scheduled tasks live under automations, and the phone connection under Codex Mobile. Let's get you set up. Go to developers.openai.com/codex/app and download the desktop app. It is available for both macOS and Windows. Here is some genuinely good news on cost. Codex is included in every ChatGPT plan, including the free one. The paid tier gives you more usage, and higher tiers raise the limits further. So you can try everything in this video without paying anything, and only upgrade if you hit the limits. Pricing changes over time, so check OpenAI's current pricing page before relying on a specific number. Once installed, sign in. When the app opens, you land on the main page with the chat visible. You do not need to set anything else up first. If your task is research, planning, or a one-off question, you just run it as a plain chat. When you want Codex to work with your files, you click Work in a Project under the text box and point it to a folder on your computer, or create a new one. That folder becomes its workspace, the area it is allowed to read and write in. Before it runs anything, the app asks you to set up something called the Agent Sandbox. You will see a banner saying Set up Agent Sandbox to continue. This is worth slowing down for, because it is what keeps you safe. There are two controls. The sandbox decides where Codex can read and write, and whether it can reach the internet. By default, it stays inside your project folder and nothing else. Approvals decide when Codex must stop and ask you before doing something, like going online or running a riskier action. You'll see this directly in the chat area as an ask for approval setting. Imagine a real sandbox. You are telling Codex it's only allowed to play, if you will, in that sandbox, in that particular folder. My advice: keep access tight to begin with and loosen them only for work you trust. There is a full access mode that removes the boundaries entirely. Be very careful with it, because at that point, Codex can read, change, and delete files anywhere on your machine. Treat it like handing someone the keys to your whole computer, to your home. One more thing about the chat box. You pick which model runs and how hard it thinks. More effort means slower but more careful work. Start with the default one and adjust if a task needs it. This segment might feel a bit heavy. If you would rather get practical first, jump ahead to the use cases and come back here later. That is 100% okay. With that said, let's continue with settings and the fancy words: MCP, skills, plugins, and automations. Let's look at the building blocks on how to adapt Codex to your needs. Start with your personal preferences in the Personalization tab. As with most of these tools, you can describe your role, the tone you want, and the output formats you prefer. I'll go deeper on how to prime an AI tool like this in my video, Prompt Engineering. It's also worth going to the General tab and clicking the For Everyday Work button. If you want less technical responses, also spend time in the permissions area and click away these default permissions. Until you are comfortable with using the app, don't let Codex get too much power. To specify where files are opened, click the default open destination and change it. For coders, VS Code might make sense, but for regular users, File Explorer might be a better choice. With the settings done, let's look at making Codex more capable. Let's start with skills. A skill is just a prompt saved in a text file that Codex reads every time you ask it to. You can have such text files for various tasks, like how to create daily briefs, what tone to use, information about you and your preferences. You can see skills as reusable AI workflows. In the app, skills live under the Skills tab on the Plugins page. Next, MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. An MCP server is a small program or online service that runs alongside Codex and gives it access to tools it does not have on its own. For example, reaching a service on the internet. So note the difference. A skill is a prompt, something that Codex reads. An MCP server is something Codex talks to while it works. The app has a screen for adding MCP servers manually, but it is technical, with launch commands and settings meant for developers. So we will not be going through it in this video. Instead, we use plugins. A plugin is an installable package that can contain skills. MCP server setups and other components delivered as one unit. The plugin itself does not do anything. It is the box the pieces ship in, and installing it puts everything in place in one click. You find them under Plugins in the sidebar. There's a gallery you can search, a filter for plugins built by OpenAI, and the featured ones, including spreadsheets for creating and editing spreadsheet files, and presentations for the same with presentations. Let's install one and try it. And once you're used to how skill files work, you can open a plugin's files and adapt the prompts to your own way of working. And finally, automations, the agentic part the app has become more known for. Click Automations in the sidebar. Automations run chats on a schedule or whenever you need them, every morning, every Friday, whenever you choose. You do not have to build one from scratch. There are already templates like a daily brief, a weekly review, and a project monitor, where you can describe what you want via chat, and it sets one up for you. When automation finishes, the results lands in a review queue waiting for you. One practical note: the scheduled tasks only run if your computer is on and the app is running, and there is a prevent sleep while running setting for exactly this situation. As I said before, the Codex app is a productivity tool, an AI agent that does tasks for you, within the limits your sandbox and approval set. For integrity and security reasons, there are things it is not allowed to do. We won't go in depth into that here, but there is more to read on OpenAI's website. I will go through 2 use cases, both prompt-based, and both prompts are in the description if you want to try them. The first use case is one where we create a website for clicking on random cat images, like the one I created before in a separate video. We see that we get a visually appealing website and it's fully functional. You see when I click a button, I get random cat pictures. And Codex followed my prompts using the kind of tech stack I wanted. You don't have to be that technical in your prompts. You can just say, hey, I want a cute cat website giving me random pictures. The second case is for a daily brief, a finance daily brief where I get financial news every morning. You can see that I quickly got an email to the email I had set, and it's quite good. Looking at the briefs and the description and summary, it's quite good, just as any other brief you would have paid for. One last thing before we leave the use cases. Any prompt you find yourself running over and over, like that status presentation every Friday, is a candidate for an automation. Set it on a schedule and it waits in review for you instead of you typing it over and over again. That was it from the use case segment. In this extra segment, I will go through how you can handle Codex tasks from your phone. The feature is called Codex Mobile. Codex lives inside the ChatGPT mobile app. You connect it to the Codex app running on your computer, and from your phone, you start tasks, following along, approve actions, and read results. The work still happens on your computer. Your files stay there, and updates flow to your phone in real time. In the desktop app sidebar, you click Codex Mobile and get started. You will see a QR code appear. Scan it with the ChatGPT app on your phone. Once you are done with the process, you will be asked to allow your mobile to control the computer. If you haven't already, you will be asked to turn on a security layer called multi-factor authentication. The computer doing the work needs to be awake, online, and running the app, which is that prevent sleep settings again. If you are on a work account, an administrator may need to switch it on first. On the mobile, I prompt Codex app to open my YouTube channel, take a screenshot, and then post it to me. And we can see this done both on the computer and on the mobile simultaneously. That's it. And that's the Codex app in a nutshell. We covered what it is and where it comes from. An AI engine that began as a programmer's terminal tool in 2025, now wrapped in an app for the rest. Now available as a user-friendly app, and deliberately stretched beyond code into research, writing, and documents. Same engine, same models, different settings and interfaces. You walk through setting up the app to the two safety controls. The sandbox decides where Codex can work. Approvals decide when it must ask you first. You now know how to adapt Codex in the settings, from personal preferences to permissions, and the building blocks. A skill is something Codex reads as a prompt. An MCP server is something Codex talks to. And a plugin is the box they ship in. Plus automations, which one chats on a schedule, with ready templates like a daily brief to start from. We looked at two practical use cases, creating a beautiful landing page with cat pictures that randomly appear, and a finance daily brief that emails every morning to your inbox. And finally, we pair the app with your phone through Codex Mobile, so you can start and supervise tasks from anywhere. The best way to get comfortable is to just start. Pick one recurring task you do manually, try an automation template, or write a simple skill for it, and let Codex take a first pass. Iterate from there. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Links to related videos are in the description. See you in the next one.